Hi Taurus, welcome to December, and I'm taking this minute to thank you for all your continued support in this channel, for your likes, your subscriptions, your downloads, your purchases, your likes, your follows, all of the above. Thank you so very, very much. It is an interesting time for Taurus people because with Uranus being in your sign, you are going through a period that can feel very revolutionary in terms of your spirit and sense of self. And that can also be translated as feeling anxious, angsty, anxious, whatever it is you want to call it, because sometimes giving things a name can make them feel more overwhelming. With Chiron being in Aries and diving into your subconscious mind and your dreams and your abilities, you find that the friction it causes with the good stuff, and I mean Jupiter, and we'll get to that in a minute, the friction that Chiron causes with the good stuff isn't there to trip you up or take away from your luck. It's not to deduct from the good stuff. It is actually because, Taurus, there are some things that you need to heal before you get the goods. Just the way it is. There is a lesson here. Saturn being in Capricorn is also contributing to this lesson, more so than possibly you realize. There is something niggling in the back of your head that you must make a commitment to resolve. And that is your language. You're a Taurus, you're an earth sign, Knight of Pentacles. You must commit to some form of routine, some practice, some way of dealing with the thing that keeps coming up. And for a lot of Tauruses, you know why it keeps coming up. You just have to make a decision to commit to something that handles that, because you're handling things in Sagittarius season. Sagittarius season can feel very intense at times for you, but it can feel intense in a good way as well, in terms of intimacy, in terms of your romantic relationships. There's a very strong need to merge, and for those of you that are single, you're feeling this sense of isolation almost, if there's nobody in the picture. The full moon in Gemini, though, that's coming up on the 12th, can show you where perhaps some of your choices have been a little bit unfair or unbalanced, particularly if you're dealing with Libra people or you're dealing with other earth signs, with other Virgo, Capricorns, or other Taurus. And I think, to an extent here, Taurus, a lot of you are thinking very seriously about marriage, whether you're in a relationship or not. After Scorpio season, a lot of you probably have holy matrimony on your mind, and a lot of you are quite simply hoping for just something long-lasting, something that makes you feel as though you're not going through this thing that we call life alone. Something that gives you a bit of strength. With justice and strength, there is a need to balance, and the way to balance a situation isn't necessarily always by equality. It is by taking the highs and giving them contrast so that you know where you are. If there was no contrast, everything would be consistent. There would be no highs, there would be no lows. And to some Taurus, that sounds great. That sounds steady. That sounds fine. But you have to remember, Taurus, that sometimes in order to tip the scales, we must experience something different. So what is it that you would like to do differently? What is the change that you would like? And maybe if things have been going the way they've been going for a while and you're dissatisfied, maybe try something that shifts it up. The friction of Uranus being in your sign, moving along, it's just trying to get you to do something else. It's just trying to get you to change things up. Now, I want to get into the good stuff, okay? So, because all I'm asking from that is that in Sagittarius season, you remain a little bit more open-minded, because trying something that scares you and succeeding is what's going to give you that confidence that you need over the Gemini full moon. Because confidence, my Taurus friends, is just what you need at this present time. King of Pentacles. This is you when you're at your best. This is you as we start the month. This is you as we develop the month. Progression. And how do we get there? We get there through balancing whatever situation needs to be balanced. And we do that because these are such contradictory energies when you think about it. The scales are all about balancing two forces. But strength in the traditional tarot, if you remember, is the lady who is calming a ferocious lion, even though she naturally shouldn't be the stronger of the two. The reason that she is because she's tamed her, she's using higher self modes of communication. She's confident, she's strong, she's gentle, she's subtle in the midst of something quite ferocious. And you guys can be ferocious whenever you're angry. But I digress. Taurus has an idea, Taurus has a plan, Taurus has something that comes to mind that makes them want to move. And for a lot of you, I think there is a spark with an individual that makes you feel as though they're ticking a few boxes. 2 of Wands and the 9 of Wands. But in order to move forward with someone or into something or see a progression, you need to drop the defenses ever so slightly. You need to be calm, you need to be gracious, you need to be secure enough to tame any beast that comes at you. Even if the beast comes in the form of an anxiety, a fear, or a person, or all three, you have to be calm and gracious and know your inner strength. There are few signs. In fact, there are no signs that I would consider as stable as a Taurus in their element. And I think you would agree. December can feel challenging in some ways because of the 8th house energy that can feel very intense and it can feel very heavy. And I think for those of you that are dealing either in relationships or out of relationships or whatever your case is in terms of the one-on-one stuff, I think you're finding it challenging. But I think the reason you're finding it challenging is because you're so desperately holding on to something that you can't let things occur naturally, with flow. 9 of Cups. Wishes. And that brings me to Jupiter. 8 of Swords. Jupiter in Capricorn. 8 of Swords, I think, is kind of the epitome side by side with the 9 of Cups is what Jupiter in Capricorn means. Jupiter is so very expansive and optimistic and gregarious and generous. And the 8 of Swords kind of representing the lower echoes of Capricorn energy, where they can be quite fearful and quite restrictive and quite melancholy and, dare I say, sometimes kind of gloomy. The 9 of Cups and the 8 of Swords is that energy. Contradictory. Anxiety about a wish. Jupiter wants to give you something like a departing gift as it enters an earth sign, which is going to be so auspicious for you this year. It's going to be so good. But the way that it gets so good, Taurus, is if you just simply let it in. And to let it in, you have to let go of whatever it is that's keeping you up at night. Because something may be. Your sleep is probably disrupted. There's something lingering in your vibration that's making you feel disconnected, anxious, snappy, tetchy. And the goal here is to get back into such a harmonious state with yourself and your inner being and feel very connected, because this is so you. King of Pentacles and the Ace of Wands, when you are at your earthiest and your most sensual and your most together and your most calm, cool, calm and delected with your fancy watch and your fancy suit. Or whatever it is, whatever gay apparel you like to don around Christmas time. This is you having an idea, having a something about you that everyone just finds so magnetic. I don't know if you've ever seen Benito Skinner's Dating a Taurus video. He does Noah Centino, I think his name is. But the way that the video turns out is that it seems to be just about everybody's favourite sign to date. And this is you when you're in your element, when you're connected with Earth. Go hiking, go outdoors, go plant a tree, use your green fingers, whatever it is to feel more grounded, more connected. The second you do, you see this like switch in energy. And it's because Chiron is suddenly going direct and you're feeling like you can embrace the pain that has been weighing very heavy on your shoulders and your back, making you feel very uptight, making you feel very anxious, making you feel very uncomfortable. And a lot of it stems back from a betrayal, and I saw that, 10 of Cups. A betrayal long, long ago, where you felt like the very things that meant so much to you, that you thought you had together, that you thought you had stable. And I do think for a lot of you this goes way back. For some of you it's recent. Whatever the time frame, it's irrelevant. It's in your psyche. You thought you had everything under control. You thought you had everything in the right order. You thought things were working out in the way that they were meant to by your plan. And around the 15th, when Jupiter in Capricorn trines your sign in Uranus, you start to realize that, hey, maybe the thing that went so badly wrong was setting me up for the thing that's going to go so right. Mars in Scorpio on the 13th, in your partnership sector, trines Neptune in Pisces, your wish sector. If you want to meet somebody, I would suggest trying online, even if you don't like it. Mars and Neptune together with the very planets they're in. You know, I just think Pisces in that 11th house for you is very, with Uranus as well, Uranus being the planet of technology, with it being in your 11th house and it trining so well and so intimately with your partnership zone, I think it would be okay to try something like that, even if you don't like it, even if you don't like the idea. It could be someone very interesting slides into your DMs, you know, modern day stuff, whatever. But when Jupiter trines Uranus, you get an idea, Taurus. You get an idea that maybe, just maybe, things are working out. The Chariot. You could be dealing with a Cancerian. You could be moving into the next phase with a Cancerian. Meeting a Cancerian. The World. Okay. Taking back control of your own life, of your own destiny, feeling very, very supported as you go into the new year, as you go into 2020. And I just think that this Jupiter trining Uranus momentum, because we've not had this in a long time, and to have one of them in your sign, for Capricorn and for Taurus, and you could be very well dealing with the Capricorn here, because I think there's very strong Earth on Earth energies. I think if you're dealing with another Earth sign, or if indeed Taurus, you're dealing with a Cancerian, or a Scorpio, a Leo, Aquarius, or any sign, because there's strong Leo here as well. I think if you're dealing with any of these energies, there's a strong momentum forward. There's a propelling forward. Whether you're going with somebody or without somebody, or whatever the momentum is, I think it's very strong. For a lot of you, you're finally getting your dream car, or that's what you want out of this Jupiter in Capricorn cycle. But what Jupiter in Capricorn gives you guys in particular is so much more philosophical and so much more wisdom. And to have it so harmonious with Uranus in your sign, I feel as though those of you that want to have an awakening of some kind, or a grander shift that serves your purpose and helps you manifest the things that you want, it's a really, really positive time. And the most positive part of this month is actually on the 26th. It's after the sun goes into Capricorn, and it's the new moon solar eclipse in Capricorn, fellow Earth sign. And you're going to love that. You're going to love it a lot. But we're going to that in the mid-monthly reading, all being well. It's kind of interesting, the polarities in your reading, and it's balancing the polarities, and it's accepting that sometimes in life the contrast is showing us what we do want, because in knowing what we don't want, we get a grander, clearer picture. But I'm going to draw a couple more cards just before we go. December is kind of a month of big decisions for many signs, but for you, it's just more learning to go with the flow. Your decisions are kind of small. The only decision you actually have to make, Taurus, that I see, regardless of any aspect of your life, is whether or not you're going to hold on for dear life, or you're going to give it up to the universe and say, I trust this. Which would be wise, because Artemis, guardian, you and your loved ones are safe and spiritually protected. Let's see if we can show you this. This might be back to front. You might not be able to read that anyway, but I'll read it to you. Aphrodite, inner goddess, which is like the Empress, which is your card. Awaken the goddess within you through dance, self-care, and appreciating your divinity. That full moon in Gemini can feel like a real wake-up call in terms of your sense of self and your self-confidence. Anyway, I've gone on far too long. Rambling now. We like this. You want the Ten of Swords before the Ten of Cups, because it shows that whatever, as low as things got, they're about to get just as high. And if things are pretty high right now, just trust. Trust in it. Because if things are feeling good, you know you're on the breakthrough of something. If things are feeling good, you're in the right space. Because Jupiter entering Capricorn is such a good vibe for you. And if you're not feeling good, just be aware, Taurus, that there's something that's maybe been in your vibration a little too long. Go get a massage. Go try Reiki, I can pronounce it, but I've done it. Recommend it so strongly. Go get your cards read. Anything you can to feel more connected to something bigger than yourself. And especially feeling connected to something bigger than your problems. Because you got the whole world in your hands. That's not the tune, but you know what I mean. I'll see you in the extended. Love you, Taurus.